What's up guys, Danny Gevirtz here, and today we're going to be talking about how to price your videos. This is typically something that not everyone likes to talk about, not everyone wants to be transparent about, but today I am going to tell you exactly how I price my videos, how I started pricing my videos at the very beginning, where I'm at now, and kind of my knowledge of what the industry standard should be. From my personal experience, I've found that the best way for me to price my work is to have it simplified into a day rate. So how much are you going to be paid for that day of work? Try my best to stay away from keeping track of hours and breaking it down into a half day. I'd prefer to just be one flat full day rate. And the reason that I prefer it that way is because even if you're only filming for 4 hours and that's considered a half day rate, it took you all day to prepare for that gig, probably up the night before, prepping your gear, getting everything ready for that shoot, and then getting to the gig, breaking down after the gig, getting back to your house, unloading and recharging everything. There's a lot of extra hours that go into that project that the client's not necessarily going to see. So I like to kind of keep it just at like a flat day rate because of that, because I know I'm not going to be scheduling, 2 half-day shoots in the same day. I'm going to be keeping it 1 shoot max per day. And if I'm booking you for that day, then that entire day is taken up for me. So I'm going to charge you my full day rate. It's also very important for you to understand what you're putting into that day rate. Are you adding in the cost of your equipment rental? Are you putting in the cost of transportation for you to get to that gig? Are you putting in all the miscellaneous costs that you would acquire to perform that gig, that project, that shoot day? So for me, I like to tack on an extra fee for my equipment use if I'm going to be using my equipment. All this equipment is super expensive and it would cost a client a ton of money to rent all this gear if they didn't have it, let alone even understand how to use the gear. So bring your own gear, having the knowledge of how to use that gear and putting your gear at risk every time you shoot. You should be collecting some sort of fee that has been processed into your day rate that's gonna cover, if something were to happen, the wear and tear of that gear, and kind of like give you money to continue to buy new gear for bigger and better projects. An easy way to kind of figure out the price of your gear is go on rental sites and type in the gear that you own and see how much rental sites are charging for people to rent that equipment that you own. And that right there will be a good starting point of how to price the equipment that you're renting and using and bringing to the shoot yourself. I don't charge the same amount as the rental house would charge. I kind of knock the price down a lot just because, for the most part, most people are expecting you to have the equipment, but I give the people the benefit of the doubt, and if they're like, hey, like this price comes back and it's too expensive, and I'll be able to explain to them, why it is priced at what it is, what gear they're getting, and the fact that it's actually way cheaper than if they were to rent the gear themselves or in fact buy it. Another thing you want to consider is, what are you doing on set? Are you only the director of photography? Are you only the person shooting? Or are you also directing and shooting? And then are you going to be editing the project later? So those are all kind of things that are separate that you need to consider when molding your day rate. For me personally, I don't think directing and DPing at the same time is the hardest thing in the world, but yeah, I'm also not doing massive projects where the directing takes a lot of intensive work, which on some projects it definitely does. And I haven't really worked on projects where I felt like I could not direct and I could not DP at the same time. Sure, I've had circumstances when it was really hard for me to do both, but I was able to figure it out. If that's the case, I usually don't charge extra for me to direct and DP. I'll just go at my normal DP rate. If I'm going to edit the video, my editing day rate is usually 50% of what my shooting day rate would be. And say it's like a 3-minute music video, it typically takes me, 2, 3, 4 days to edit the music video, depending how intense the shoot was. I also like to kind of add an extra day in to my editing day rate, which will kind of cover the feedback that the client has and the edits that they want you to make, where you have to go back and make those edits and revisions. So yeah, let's talk about the reason you're here. You wanna know a number, you wanna know a price, you wanna know what I am charging clients for my work. And it all really just depends. It depends where you're at in your career. It depends what the project is. When I was first starting out and I had no work and I had no clients, I was basically just saying, hey, like, what are you comfortable paying? And whatever they'd say, I would do the video for, because I didn't have an understanding of what the industry rate was. I didn't have any work on my portfolio to show for, and I was just trying to learn, practice, meet new people, make clients, and just get work at the time. Then once I had some work under my belt and I had a portfolio and I was getting better, I started charging $500 a day to shoot and $250 a day for edit. Then once I started to acquire more gear, my gear was getting better and I was becoming more in demand, I bumped my day rate up in my second year of filmmaking to $750 a day to shoot. And I was charging $400 a day to edit. Now in my third year of filmmaking, where am I pricing my videos at now currently? So right now I would consider myself a good DP for my area. I do not think by any means I am elite. I do not think I am top tier. I know that I am still learning and I'm continuing to grow. This is only my third year of DPing, and there's people who've been doing it for 10, 15 years who are so much more experienced than I am at this given time. So right now I'm pricing my videos with my gear included. I have this Canon C200. I have my lighting package, I have my audio package, everything that I have, I price my day rate at $1,250 a day. And then for editing, I don't think my editing is good as my cinematography work. If I didn't bump my editing price up too much, I bumped it up to $500 a day, which is not quite 50% of what my cinematography day rate is. So if you heard me say $1,250 and you're like, wow, that number is way too big, I don't think I could ever get my clients to pay that much money, that is still a very modest price for a cinematographer at my level. To give it something to compare it to, an experienced average cinematographer for a commercial project is probably pulling in about $3,000 a day for a shoot. And then there's a select handful of people in the world who are top tier who are bringing like $10,000 a day for a shoot. But those are people who are, you know, the Roger Deakins of the world, the Michael Bays of the world, who are going to film a project for like a huge brand. So $1,250 compared to the average of $3,000 is very cheap. It's almost a third of the price that I'm charging as, you know, other experienced DPs. I think one day, probably in the next couple years, I'll be at that point where I'm charging that much money. Sure I'll have better equipment. I'm sure I'll have way more experience and a way better portfolio under my belt. And it's a number that I feel confident that my clients will say yes to. So if your question is, what if someone says no to your price? What do you do? Well, the first thing you do is not just like back down. You need to know your worth. You need to know what goes into your pricing for you to rebuttal. Have a breakdown of everything that's going into that video. Have the list of gear rental, have the hours of pre-production, have everything scoped out for them so they can point out to where their money is going. Also talk to them. Be like, hey, like, this is a very modest price for the industry. This isn't something that's like overly expensive compared to the average commercial cinematographer. You're getting a deal in this situation. And then just like know your worth, like know how many hours you spent learning this craft. If it's a project that's really awesome, something that you want to do, and they're kind of on the fence about your price, feel free to, whatever you're comfortable with, knock down the price to make the client more comfortable to work with you, and just try to negotiate and find a middle ground. Whatever you do, don't just like give in right away. Another question that you might have is, should you film anything for free? So for me, there's 3 situations in which I will do a project for free. The first one is if it's something that I really think is awesome and going to make an awesome piece for my website, and I'm not losing any money on the shoot. If I think it's awesome and I think it's a huge portfolio builder and something that I can put on my website and it's not gonna cost me anything, but I'll have to offer my services for free, I'll do it. Another situation is if you know this video is gonna be seen by, you know, 1 million people. If a ton of people are gonna see this video, it might be worth doing it for free because the marketing that video is gonna get you could be priceless at that point. And the third reason that I don't do anymore is if you just don't have anything on your portfolio. I have stuff on my portfolio. I have work that I've done. If you have nothing and you have no client work on your portfolio, it might be in your best interest to just take work for free and just do a project and get something on your website. But don't let people try to sell you their dream in making this video. Like, their dream is not your dream. Don't just like make a video to make someone happy. If there's no real big value for you to make that video for free, don't do it for free. There you go. That is how I price my videos. Is it 100% the correct way to do it? No, but at least it's a real tangible number for you to hear, kind of base your work off of and your price off of to tell clients. I remember starting out, it was so hard for me trying to figure out what to price my videos at because no one would tell me what they priced their videos at, and it was super frustrating. And yeah, I felt like I was losing so much money in the beginning because I wasn't charging enough at the beginning because I was so afraid that I was gonna lose clients right away because the price was gonna be too high for what I considered my value. So sorry that I rambled a lot in this. I didn't write anything down, which I probably should have, but yeah. Hopefully this helps you going into the future of your filmmaking career and just gets you excited about owning a business and being a freelancer and just like making money and making a career out of shooting video. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.